Yanko the next, problem the day no. Me solve that problem. Yanko no, madam, you can.
Birth certificate for a child that she told me that was mine and has taken me to court for child support. I've paid almost $15,000 in child support.
So you admit you do owe the child support?
Not on a child that it's not mine. No, ma'am.
But you said you signed the birth certificate.
I did sign the birth certificate. She made me believe that the child was mine by saying that she was only with me.
You did sleep with her?
I did, yes, ma'am.
You thought you were exclusively together, girlfriend, boyfriend, committed?
No, ma'am. She was married at the time.
Your Honor, no, when we first met, we both were married. When we both met, we were separated. I wasn't with my husband for a year and a half whenever I got to see my son.
Take me back. Let me understand this relationship. When you met, you both were married.
I was separated from my wife, and I moved into a townhouse, which was next to her and her husband.
And my ex-husband and I were going through issues, and we're separating.
Okay. So you all began a sexual relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
But both of your marriages were not completely over at the time.
Correct.
Tell me about the first night you all were intimate. How did this relationship begin?
We were hanging out next door, and we were all friends, hanging over there shooting pool, drinking, watching movies, and everybody left except for me, and one thing kind of led to another. He made a pass at me, and...
So you began a sexual relationship?
Correct.
And how long did it continue before you found out you were pregnant?
That was in 2007. My son was born in 2011.
Oh, 4 years?
Exactly.
So you all were living next door to one another for 4 years?
No, ma'am. That's when we first met. We lived together on and off over the last 8 years. When my son was born, we were living together.
She was not living with me.
Yes, I was, and I was
also. She got pregnant. She moved in with me when she got pregnant because I wanted to do the right thing.
Well, she said that when her son was born, she was living with you. That was right.
Yes, ma'am.
That's correct.
That is correct.
Okay. So what you're saying is when her son was conceived, she was not living.
No, ma'am. She was not.
So your point is you don't know if she was sleeping with someone else or not.
I do know for a fact that she was with somebody else.
Oh, what do you know?
I know Crystal. Crystal was married when she came to my house on the first night.
But you know, Your Honor, this other gentleman he's talking about, while we were not together, I was dating somebody else, and we split up 2 months prior to me getting pregnant with my son.
That's not true, Your Honor. I know for a fact that on a specific night that she said that she was going out with this gentleman, I called her. Crystal never answered the phone. Not text, nothing. All day, all night. Next day, I get a hold of her. Crystal, where were you? Oh, I went out to dinner with this guy, and I got sick, and I was in the hospital.
He knew I was seeing somebody else, and what I'd done at that time was none of his business because we were not together.
Your Honor, we've never been together. It's just
really, but yeah, we got 8 years together. We lived together multiple times.
So wait, let's get to the birth. I want to get to the birth.
Yes,
you say after she found out she was pregnant, you wanted to do the right thing.
I did.
You had her move in.
Yes, ma'am.
When Gage was born, you were living together.
Yes, ma'am.
So you
in my house.
Did you go to doctor's appointments? Did you
support
her
not,
through
Your
this?
Honor.
Did you go to the hospital when Gage was born?
I did.
He was at the hospital when the baby was born. My son was 5 weeks premature and 7'5". See that right there? There's a picture of him at the hospital with the baby.
This is you.
Yes, ma'am.
In this picture right here, you had no doubt this child was yours.
No.
You thought you were having a child with your girlfriend that lived with you and you all were going to be a family.
No, ma'am. Crystal got pregnant because we were fooling around. I was doing the right thing.
We were never just fooling around. We were together. I left a relationship and a marriage also for this man on multiple occasions, on and off for 8 years.
So you believe you're paying child support for a child that is not yours.
Absolutely.
And you think that's unfair.
But
you do realize under the law that once you sign a birth certificate,
I do.
You are considered the legal father.
Yes.
And you are responsible for child support.
And I have been responsible. I have payments right here.
Jerome, will you please pass me Mr. Ostinato's evidence? What is this evidence pertaining to?
This is all my payments that I've made except for the 8 months that I've been out of work. Being that I've been paying these $1,000 at the first year I was at my job working in the oil field, it was $1,026 a month for one child. One child, okay?
You know, Your Honor,
I'm not an NBA player. I'm not a movie star. I work in the oil field. Anyways, regardless of that, she's always making accusations that I'm a deadbeat. I don't pay my child support payments. You can see on that paper.
He just started in the last 6 months because I got tied back up in court. Last year I got back in court because he was not paying. He's only denying our child because of child support.
So at some point you filed and petitioned the court.
I told him my son needed diapers. He's like, you're such a whore. Go work the street corner for diapers. So I turned around and went and filed child support. That's when he started denying my son.
When did your doubt set in and why?
Gage had a lot of medical problems when he was a baby. He had colic, he had ear infections, he had multiple problems. He had
2 weeks in the
infections.
hospital. Mr. Asinato never once called, never once showed it. He called maybe twice the 2 weeks.
I have a 20-year-old son, okay? My son's never been sick. My son was born at 9 pounds, 8 ounces, okay? This child was
My
born at
son-
6 pounds. He didn't look
No,
anything like
Your
my
Honor,
other
that's
son.
a lie. My son
son's
was
never
5
been sick.
weeks
We don't have
premature and
any of these
7'5".
sicknesses in my family going back centuries.
But
we
also,
don't
the
have
doctor
any disease,
did
any sickness,
state, the doctor
any of
also
that.
stated this medical issue that my son has.
Mr. Asinato, I hate to say, but that evidence is
It's-
irrelevant.
My son has thalassemia, which is a medical condition that comes from Italian, is a Mediterranean descent. He is full-blooded Italian. I'm Native American.
Hold on, Miss Clary, go back and explain this to me. Your
My-
son has a medical issue that he deals with called
Thalassemia.
thalassemia.
And it's an inherited, it's a genetic blood disorder, and it comes from people of the Mediterranean
You brought evidence
descent,
to explain that.
of
Jerome,
Mediterranean
please hand that to
descent.
me.
Todd is full-blooded
What
Italian.
evidence is that? She prints it up off of online? Really? Is that
And
evidence?
this is what I do.
Thalassemia.
Whenever we're fighting, all of a sudden my son's not his. When we're getting along, he loves his son. That's his son. It's when we're not getting along or the child support.
Not-
That's the
not-
whole
no,
issue is child
that's-
support.
All right, let's get some order. Let's get some order. This evidence says that thalassemia is an inherited
Yes, Your Honor.
blood disorder, which basically the body makes abnormal blood. But it's most frequently found in people of Mediterranean descent,
Correct.
African Americans, and people of Asian origin.
Correct.
Now, Mr. Asanada, you're not African American.
I am not.
You're not of Asian origin.
I am not.
But are you of Mediterranean descent?
I'm Italian. I don't know
Which
if
is
that. I believe
Mediterranean.
So. Right.
So the answer would be yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So
And I'm
this
Irish.
is one of the main issues that you feel like you don't understand why he's denying
Exactly.
that Gage could
Because-
potentially be his.
exactly. And-
Are you of
Doctor-
Mediterranean descent?
No, ma'am. I'm Native American and Irish.
But the gentleman that she was with is
No,
Mediterranean.
the gentleman that I was with 2 months prior to conceiving my son is Hispanic.
Hispanic.
You just listed off a series of medical issues that don't preclude you from being the biological father.
And I
need to hear
understand.
more about your doubt.
My doubt is the child looks nothing like me at the time when I had this doubt. This was last December.
Your Honor, my son
Okay?
looks just like me.
Last December,
and,
I took-
last I checked, I was his mother. See, that's my. How can you not love that baby? You know, in fact, a friend of mine sent me an app to try that shows you the comparison, even that of how much Gage looked like Todd whenever he.
Your Honor, I
ago.
could pull up apps online and just send them to
I have it
people.
here.
It doesn't mean anything.
What is this app?
You pull up the parents, it does a comparison, and it shows he looks like he has so much.
So you submit photos, you put them in this app, and then the app will calculate the percentage of likeness,
Yes.
meaning this one determined that Gage looked 68.3%
Of me.
like his father,
Yes, ma'am.
And 31%.
and then 31.7% like you.
So I'm sure if I picked out somebody from the audience and sent that
Your Honor,
in
he's
with her
very
engaged,
talkative, very
it would
charming.
be
He's one
the
of
same
these types that can
percentage.
con an alley cat out of a tuna dinner. I mean, he's very charming. He's very, he's going to make you believe anything you want to believe. I loved you for some stupid reason.
Regardless, Your Honor, this is what's come to the
only
point
thing
of
is
this.
our son is the one that's suffering. The only reason I agreed to this is because my son is 4. Now he wants to do this because of child support. My son does not deserve this.
I don't want to do this because of child support. I want to
It's
do
all.
this because of medical.
You know, he waits 4 years. My son is 4. My son knows him. That's his daddy. And then now he wants to do this. Gage knows him as his daddy.
And this is really upsetting to you because you feel that it's about money. And
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't believe it's about Gage.
Yes, Your Honor, exactly.
And you believe Gage is hurting because of this.
Exactly.
Because in his mind, that's his daddy.
Exactly, that's his daddy.
So what is your
Father.
relationship like with Gage?
Oh, I love him. He's my little man.
Then why are we
Do
here?
anything for him. I'm here because if that child gets sick and he needs something, and a organ or blood or whatever, I'm not his biological
You are
father.
his biological
His
father.
biological
Your
father
own
needs
mother,
to
when he
stand
was
up. He
first
needs to
born,
know
said
who
he
his
looked just
biological
like you.
father is.
Then whenever he was
And
a
if
couple weeks
something
old,
happens to him, he needs something, we need to know where to go get that.
he tells me constantly, he's not my son. He has told him
He is not my
before,
son.
He is your
Biologically,
son.
he is
his
not my
biological
son.
He's made comments to Gage before and makes
I have
comments
never
to me
said that to that
once
boy
he did on the
ever
phone.
once. She's
Yes,
the
you
one that
have.
says it when she gets
No, I
pissed.
do not. He denies
She always
him
says
in front
it.
of me.
But Let me ask you this, though, Mr. Asinato, and I understand if you're not Gabe's biological father, I, of course, understand why you would say you prefer not to be paying child support for a child that isn't yours. But you do understand that the care that you provide, the financial support you provide, is an important part
Absolutely.
of his quality of life.
And that boy would never
legally,
go
you've
without.
signed his birth certificate.
That boy
So
would never go
on
without.
his birth certificate, when he looks at the name, that's you.
Exactly, Your
But
Honor.
that should be
his
up
daddy.
to me. It shouldn't be governed by her. It shouldn't be governed by the state
Well,
of
it was
Louisiana.
up to you.
Just
You
because he can
signed
choose
it.
to
I should-
win-
Voluntarily. What I want you to ultimately understand, and this is an important legal lesson, not just for you, but for men in general. When you sign that birth certificate, when you sign it, you are the legal father. You are responsible for the child support. And it's not as easy as waking up and saying, oh, you know, I signed this birth certificate, but now I have a doubt. It's not that easy. And you're living that now. And you understand that.
I do.
So, Ms. Clary, I have to ask you, I must ask you, respectfully, are there any other possible fathers?
No, Your Honor. I'd love, no. I love
Anybody?
this man. No, ma'am. I was, like I said, the guy he keeps claiming, we were on a breakup, and I was with the guy, I slept with him one time, protected, 2 months prior to my son being conceived. That's the only person I was with, and that was 2 months before my son was conceived. I don't sleep around. You're the one that I've been with. I have not been with no one else. Still to this day, I'm still with you.
And
I mean, 2 nights ago, we were together. I mean, honestly.
I'm not denying that.
But yet, you still call me up wanting to get together. And we weren't in a
'Cause
relationship.
I ain't got
we had
time to
8
meet
kids.
anybody else. How's that?
Mr. Asinato,
I'm-
come on now.
I'm just keeping it real, Your Honor. I
Come
don't go out
on.
to bars.
You're
I don't
right.
go out
I
to date.
thought you
Listen,
were messing around
listen.
when I was
This is just
pregnant with his
convenience.
next
Both
door
of
neighbor.
you,
Easy.
if you're going to keep it real, let me keep it real. Everybody in this gallery, including me and Jerome, can see that you all have some type of bond chemistry relationship that's not going anywhere anytime soon. You all argue, fuss, and fight, but somehow you still end up together.
Yes, ma'am.
What I'm most concerned about is this little boy.
Absolutely.
I want him to
That's
know
what
the
I've been
truth.
telling him.
I'm concerned that he looks at you every day. You're his dad. He calls you that. He regards you as that. You love him.
Absolutely.
And yet you're running around all the time with doubt in your mind and carrying a level of anger and animosity towards his mother, which isn't healthy for him.
What? I don't let him
And then
see
still
that.
sleeping with her anyway.
You do.
So, with
Well,
that said,
call me every name in
I
front
think
of
it's
him.
time for us to get to the truth in hopes that we can find a healthy way to move forward. Jerome, may I have the envelope, please?
All right.
These results were prepared by
yeah.
DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Clary versus Asinato, when it comes to 4-year-old Gage Asinato, Mr. Asinato, you are not his father.
I did not sleep with anyone else. I slept with somebody 2 months prior.
Miss Clary, you had me convinced.
Your Honor, it was 2 months before.
We say in this courtroom, plaintiffs lie, defendants lie. But the DNA, it doesn't lie. It doesn't.
Again, I did not sleep with anyone. It was 2 months before.
Your Honor, that doesn't change anything for me or that child. It needed to be put on paper. I love him to death. I'd do anything for that little boy. I give up everything, and he will always have a father regardless who it is.
Thank you for that, Mr. Asinato. Miss Clary, you have the opportunity while he's still young to figure this out for him, figure out who his biological father is, find him, take the test, let him know, let him get involved. Mr. Asinato says he'll still be involved, and he's young enough that he can accept this.